Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Jay's Big Adventure. Jay's the fuzzy one. And today we're going to talk about how to negotiate as a seller. Okay, we've talked about negotiating from the buyer's perspective or the buyer's side. Now we're going to talk about when it comes time for you to sell the car that you've purchased and worked on and started to advertise, and now you've got someone who is interested in your car. Invariably, they're going to ask you, what's the minimum amount you're going to take? What's your best deal? And I'll tell them, why are we negotiating on something that you haven't seen? Maybe you're not going to like my car. You can say, well, why is that? I said, because maybe the back half is green and the front half is black, but you're not going to know that until you get out here. You may not want to buy the car at all. If you do, and it is as I said it is, then we can talk about price when you're ready to purchase the car. But until you've come out and seen it and driven it and are ready to make a purchase, we're not talking about price. Okay, so now they come out to the house, they look the car over, go for a test drive, and invariably at that point, they are going to offer you less than what you've advertised it for, maybe significantly less. I had a 1991 BMW M5 back in Indiana, and this was the late 90s. It was 80,000 mile car, black on black. They're all manual transmissions. This car was right. It had never been painted. It had never been wrecked. The interior was perfect, indistinguishable from new. And they're hard to find. They've always been hard to find. I looked at a couple of others around the country, and this was the right car. I found it in Florida. It had been in New Mexico almost its whole life, which is a much drier climate. Problem with Florida is you get cars that are down by the beach and the humidity is so bad, you get mold and rust issues, and the sun is brutal on black paint. This car had none of that. It was as nice a car as you're going to find. I knew it, and I got a call from a guy in New York. And he knew what it was. He knew what the car was all about. The ad was very clear on the history and the maintenance records, all that stuff. But I sent him some stuff, sent him some very clear pictures. This is back before high-speed internet. This is on dial-up. I'm sending him pictures back and forth. It took a while. But anyway, we agreed that the car was worth the $22,000 asking price, and he and a buddy flew out. Now, this is Indiana. This is about 20 miles south of Indianapolis. It is February. It is 17 degrees, and it is blowing snow sideways when they showed up. Saw the taxi roll up. Guys got out, just had a day bag to get home. And previous to their arrival, I got out of the garage and I had a 40 by 80 pole barn with a bunch of other neat cars in it. Had the lights on, had the building warm, had the car warmed up previously to their arrival. So it was completely ready to go. And this car was stunning. And so we walk around it, inside, outside, upside down. And the first thing he does is start nitpicking the car. Well, there's a rock chip on the hood, and there's a small ding on the wheel, and all this stuff. And it had all been covered in the pictures. He knew exactly what the car was before he rolled up. And he was just trying to set me up for a negotiation on the price. And I said, look, at this point, it's an 8 or 9 year old car. It's going to have some wear. This is one of the best examples in the country. It drives like it's brand new. Let's go for a test drive. Now, normally, if the guy starts off with, I want to negotiate on the price, I don't let him test drive it. But this car was extraordinary in the way it drove, and I wanted him to feel it. So we went out, did a test drive. I always drive first. Drove it hard, let him drive it, came back. And he's like, I just don't think it's as nice a car as what you had made it out to be. I'll offer you 18. We had agreed on 22, okay? At that point, I said, you know what? Let me grab the keys for a minute. Let me show you something. So he gave me the keys back. I pulled it back into the garage, closed the door, locked it, walked up to him and said, I'm sorry that you are not interested in buying the car. And walked into the house and closed the door. Okay, it's 17 degrees, it is snowing sideways, the cab has gone. And now they're in the middle of southern Indiana, and they have no way to get to the airport, they have no way to get home, and this is before cell phones. So I see them wildly gesturing like New Yorkers do amongst themselves, hear little bits and pieces. And finally, the doorbell rings and I open it and I said, yes? He goes, let me take another look at the car. And so he did, and it ended up, he had a cashier's check for $22,000. He gave it to me, went to the bank, cashed the check, gave him the title, and down the road we went. Once we got through the negotiation part, guys were actually pretty cool. And stayed in touch with him for years. He absolutely loved the car. They had an amazing trip home. And that is $4,000 that I didn't give up in the deal because I was negotiating from a position of strength. I had him buy the short hairs, fill in your euphemism here. It was snowing sideways, his cab had gone, we had agreed on a price. There was no way that I was going to drop the money on that car. And as soon as he knew it, and then he rolled over and actually ended up being a great deal. But that's why that matters. You've got to know what the other competition is. If he had said, well, there's one in Ohio that's cheaper, it was about $18,000, which was where his number came from. I could have said, look, that car has been wrecked. The whole doghouse has been replaced. It has a definite history on the accident. And if you want to buy that car for $18,000, go ahead and buy it. It's an $18,000 car. This one's worth $22,000. And by knowing what other cars there were for him to look at, any way he would have gone, I would have known about those vehicles and gone from there. So always negotiate from a position of strength. Do your homework. You better have NADA and Kelly and Edmunds pulled up, and you'd better have some comps available, printed out, where you can go, here's a car that is worth what you're offering me. If you want to buy a car at that level, be my guest. But that's not this car. A lot of times people will take your temperature to see whether you know what you're doing, and as soon as you do, if your number's fair, then they'll come to very close to that. If you want to drop $500 to make the guy feel better to close the deal, I've done that before. But I tend to negotiate on things that are not price of the car related. If they say, well, I want to give you, I'll give you 19.5, I'll say, okay, but I'm keeping this second set of tires and wheels that has snow tires on it, right? Or I'll take the stereo out of it, or something along those lines. I'll negotiate something other than the price of the car. I'll help you, get the car back to wherever it is that you're going, or what have you. But find something else. A lot of the cars that I deal in tend to come with spare parts. They'll have a car cover. They'll have other things. I won't drop on the price of the car if I can help it. But if I have to, I'm going to keep some stuff. Okay, because I deal in the same kinds of cars, I have multiple sets of tires and wheels rolling around. I go, look, this car has brand new tires and wheels on it. I will accept that price, but those are the tires and wheels that are going to go on the car. And now they have a choice to make. They can take less car for less money, or they can step up and buy the right car and just pay whatever it costs. So that's the way I do it. Negotiate from a position of strength. You have to know your car. You have to know your market, and you have to know what other vehicles are out there for sale. Just last year, I had a 2004 Nissan Frontier Supercharged Edition, manual transmission in yellow, and that truck was the lowest mileage manual transmission truck for sale in the country. Okay, if you're looking to, Honda, Toyota, or, Subaru, something like that, there's probably going to be 10 or 20 or 30 for sale in your area. You're not going to have to go out very far to find comps. This was the lowest mileage manual transmission supercharged truck for sale in the US. Okay, so when that truck went up for sale, I got every dime that I was asking for it because they didn't have any other choice. The next truck had 30,000 more miles on it. It was already over 100. That's a big deal. So know your market, know your competition, negotiate from a position of strength, and don't be afraid to say, you know what, I'm not going to say no. I'm going to say not right now. I've got some other people looking to come out to look at my car. If they don't buy it, I'll give you a call. Now you set them up. I already have somebody else that's coming out to see it. If it truly is a rare piece, now the pressure is now back on them to figure out what they want to do before these other buyers come say it. People always say, well, people always say that. I don't do it unless I do have other people coming. But if I've got other people coming and they pass, I may take a little bit less money with somebody who's ready to buy the vehicle right now than I will somebody who maybe possibly will come back at some point down the road. So, hope this helps. Please like, please subscribe, please share. And if you have any questions or comments, or if you've had a deal that you'd like to share with us that you think would make a great story, drop us a note and let us know. And who knows, we may be talking about your story in the very next episode. Thanks.